Hello everyone, welcome back. We are in it with another Sims 4 speed build today, and this time it's a solar punk build. I got that idea from a sim guru off of Twitter, and I'll be honest with you, the names for some decorating styles have changed over the years, and I haven't really kept up with them all that much recently. So I had no idea what solar punk was. I've literally never heard of that before, ever. I don't know if that particular name has changed or if it was just never on my radar back when I was heavily into like real house decorating. Anyways, I had to look it up and I thought, you know what, that's really cool. I want to give that a try. I don't know how well this turned out to be solar punk. I mean, very basically it is, but it's kind of on the darker side of things, so maybe just super organic modern is what I'd call it. I don't know. I'll let you guys judge. I'm just saying I made a house that the walls were more or less basically all glass, and there are just some internal walls and some like support areas or areas where I needed there to be furniture that weren't glass. How about that? I think solar punk is not quite this dark, although I do lighten it up quite a bit. And it's even more plant stuff, woodsy plant stuff, garden stuff than even I put. Like, for me, my idea here was just to have them be able to see outside and be like part of nature without being in nature for the most part. But their focus isn't necessarily on being nature sims. Like, they have a couple of gardens and things for growing flowers and vegetables and whatnot, but they're not nature sims. You know what I'm saying? This was kind of a struggle, although I will say that the round walls worked a lot better for me this time than they did way back when I built that vampire nightclub, which I basically kind of gave up on halfway through and just kind of slapped some stuff together because I was so frustrated by the circular walls not working right and cutting the rooms up into weird, like partial rooms, I guess, and the roof not working over them and stuff. I don't know. It was a mess. It was a mess that I tried to fix several times, and no matter what I did, I could not fix it. But this time it worked perfectly. I had no issues whatsoever. Actually, now that I think about it, I did do that restaurant in the desert that had circular walls, and that one went perfectly smoothly as well. Well, for the most part. I mean, there were a couple of issues, but then I just demolished it and started over with a plan in mind of what I was gonna do, and then it went more smoothly that time. Maybe it's just the not having a plan in mind and messing around with things and then messing things up that causes the issues. I don't know. These skylights are not staying. I wanted there to be lots of garden areas. I was not really going for a farm so much as I was going for a more almost urban farming sort of thing this time, but also kind of not. But I wanted to use up every bit of space that I could to put like plants and garden stuff and greenery and whatnot. I always forget that these platforms are not roofs, so wherever you see me try to put roofing onto a platform, it's because I've forgotten that I put a platform down and not a flat roof. I swear that we had flat roofs at one time. Or maybe that was The Sims 3 that we had that in. I don't know. I struggled so much with this roof. I would do something and then I'd realize, wait a minute, there's bedrooms here, I can't do that. Or there's a bathroom here and I can't do that. Or whatever, In the end, though, I think it turns out mostly fine. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but it kind of works. And I guess we don't really need skylights over the bedrooms. That might be annoying, anyways. Too much light? I don't know. I guess in real life you could probably find something to cover them. I've never had a skylight in real life, so I don't know how people deal with that in bedrooms, to be honest. What do you do about the sun shining in the morning? That would be so annoying to me, but I'm not a morning person, so that would be really annoying to me. But in the end, the roof turned out fine. I have no particular reason why I did anything in the order that I did. I had a few things in particular that I wanted in this house, and that was to have the kitchen on one side and the living room on the opposite side, to have a basically open floor plan because the game thinks of this as all one room. The kitchen, the hallway, and the living room are all one space. I did not cut them off or put doorways or anything in between them, so it's technically open floor plan, but they are separated. And I had this idea in mind of having a hallway that spans the whole length of the back of the building that is basically just windows. And then as you're going from the front door through the kitchen down the hallway to the living room, you're getting this massive view of the outside. I just thought that would be really cool. I guess, yeah, that's the one thing that I did have in particular that I had to do for this build because I felt like it just belonged, and that was I needed that hallway downstairs to span the entire length of the house basically. And so as you're going from one end of the house to the other, you're seeing the entirety of the outside as well, like really making the inside part of the outside and the outside part of the inside. This is another one of those that took me a really long time to do, so I had to speed it up quite a bit. I'm really trying hard to cut out all the brief little pauses, but there are so many of them because I was thinking so hard about all of this. I wanted it to be perfect. I think the inside is absolutely fantastic. I'm not so in love with the outside, and we'll talk about that when we get to that part. I guess one of the other things that I had to do now looking at this part, because I end up getting rid of these tiles in a second here, is I felt like it had to be very much organic. So everything mostly looking like it was made out of wood, very woodsy, but not rustic woodsy. Just very everything heavy on the wood and natural and greenery and stuff like that. From what I looked up, that is what really fits well, or that's basically what this style is, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. If you look up solar punk, though, you might end up in the same situation I was in, where 90% of the pictures I found were all AI, and they looked terrible. They were awful. And I don't feel like I really got a good feel for what solar punk really is or looks like. So yeah, like I said at the beginning of the video, I would say this is maybe a mix between solar punk and, well, at least what I used to hear referred to as organic modern. I don't know if they still call it that or not. Like I said, I haven't kept up on all of the shifting and changes over the years of how all these things are designated, but I just felt like I needed that hallway and I needed everything to be very organic, not a lot of like sharp corners for the most part, not very sleek and metal and stone, more wood and soft and round. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I also have this terrible, terrible habit of getting distracted by other areas, which you're going to see in a few minutes here. Um, I either am working on a room and then I realize, oh, I should have put this back in the last room that I did, and I go back to the other room and put it in there or whatever. I don't know. I don't see many other people do that too often. I don't know if that's like a me thing or what. Does anybody else get distracted by things they find in the catalog and then have to go back and redo stuff? Later, you'll see this closet take on a life, a different sort of life. That, by the way, right there is a guest bedroom. It's not meant to be the parents' bedroom or anything. That's upstairs. This is just meant for all those Sims that call you up all the time and say, hey, can I come stay at your place for a few days? I tried to make it part office, part guest room, but I couldn't fit the stuff that I wanted in there the way that I wanted it to be. And so I ended up deciding I'll just put the makeshift office space in the hallway upstairs. But then I realized that some of these spaces were way, way bigger than I wanted them to be. So I did shrink, as you saw there, that part of the building down. I also realized a little bit later in the video that that closet that I just placed can't stay because it's partially under the skylight, and I don't think that that would work, but that's okay because when I get rid of it, it gives us a space for like a little miniature office spot, which you'll see in a little bit. But yeah, I have a tendency to bounce around a lot from space to space. Like, oh, I forgot we had this in the catalog. Let's go back and add it to that other room. Oh, wait, I realized that this room is way bigger than I wanted it to be. Let's go redo this other room so I can shrink this room back down a little bit. I guess maybe the problem is I don't plan anything ahead of time. I am just literally winging everything all the time. I know that that's maybe a little bit annoying for people, and I try, I really do. But if I sit and plan every video and write a script for it and then try to record the video and then edit the video, like I'm a one-woman show here. I'm doing this completely on my own. And already as it is, this build took me 3 days from the moment I got the idea until the moment that I am going to be finished doing the voiceover. So 3 days is a lot to invest in one single video, and I basically can't do much of anything else because all of my time is focused on this when I'm not, taking my dogs outside or playing Roblox with my daughter or whatever, which I can't make videos for Roblox while playing with my daughter because we play out in the living room and all my recording stuff is in the bedroom. And so I'm just saying it's a lot of time to invest for a single video, and I can't also use up what little other time I have to just sit and plan and write scripts and everything else. So yes, I do literally just wing everything, freestyle it all. So probably why I cannot get my thoughts out in a very concise manner, but it's what I have to work with right now. Maybe once my daughter graduates high school, no, because I still have my dogs, and they like it when I go outside and walk around the yard with them and stuff. Like they seem to really enjoy that, even if I can't take them for a walk anywhere else. They just seem to enjoy me going outside and walking around the yard with them. So I've been trying to do that a little bit more often now that the weather is nicer. But we went from cold to hot, which is pretty typical around here. But we went to like really hot, from cold and rainy to really hot and sunny. And so it's, there's very little time in between for me to take them outside and do that with them. I did try in especially the living room area to like really heap on the plants. I was mindful of the fact that this is obviously part of the update, so anybody with any packs can use this, but also it's obviously a lead up to Enchanted by Nature, and if you're into this kind of stuff, you probably might be buying Enchanted by Nature, excuse me. And so I didn't want to do too many weird things where you wouldn't be able to access the plants, because we still don't know how that's going to work. Are they just going to give us new... Actually, you know what? I take that back. We might know. I'm gonna have this done before I know, but we will know before the pack comes out. I completely forgot about early access stuff, but I have not seen the early access stuff at the time of recording this voiceover. So I decided to err on the side of caution, especially since when I built this, it was way before early access, like at least 2 days before early access, which might not seem like way before early access, but you know what I'm trying to say. I didn't want to clutter up the plants too much because I was afraid if you download this and then you get Enchanted by Nature, and even if just the base game plants alone and none of the other pack plants become living plants, that's still a lot of plants that you wouldn't have access to and be able to water and stuff. So I was trying to be very mindful of future changes that might happen with the game that might cause you to have a bunch of dead plants in your house. At some point very soon here, I decide, wait a minute, I should add pets and children to this build as well. And so I go back and I start adding in pet stuff. I added in stuff for both cats and dogs. So you could have like 1 or 2 of each, and stuff for children and infants slash toddlers, so that you could have, a variety of different Sims living here. This living room is a lot bigger than I intended it to be in the beginning, but I was afraid to shrink down that room any more than it already is, because they can become... The circular rooms can become glitchy really fast and easy if you mess with them too much. So I ended up putting a chest table near the windows, or I guess glass walls, and a second seating area. And I thought, you know what, that's actually kind of perfect, because you have the hallway that's lined with books, and now you have a comfortable little seating area right next to the books that your Sims can sit down in and read a book or whatever. And then people are always saying that you should add skill objects to your builds. There should be at least one skill object in every build, and I never do that. I guess I add a lot of garden stuff technically, and that's a skill item. But outside of that, I never add any other skill items usually. So I thought, you know what? We've got this space back here. What I could have added a family game table, but it didn't quite have that much space back there. So what else can I do where the Sims can be hanging out together and doing something fun, but also feel like they're part of nature by being almost basically surrounded by windows right there. And I thought, the perfect thing to put here is a chess table. It's like the perfect combination of things: soothing nature and chess, which chess is not soothing, but like, I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say, right? It's like a relaxing hobby, especially if you're really good at it, I guess. I don't even know how to play, so for me, it would just be frustration. That closet there, which I think I forgot to mention earlier, that's a guest bedroom. I already told you that. But I realized that there's not a lot of storage in this house, and so I added a coat closet into the guest bedroom, and that's where they store their shoes and coats and everything. And then when I decided to add pets, I also put the litter box in there because I figured they're not gonna have guests very often, so they need somewhere to put the litter box. Why not put it in there? This was another one of those things where I'm like, wait a minute, I should add this to the kitchen, and then I got distracted by, oh, we have empty shelves here. I should add something to these empty shelves. And then I spent a half hour trying to figure out what I could add to the shelves. And putting that stuff on the shelves made me realize, oh, I should add the pets and the kids in here. And that's when I went back to the living room again and started adding toys and stuff for kids and pets. Well, I put the pet bowls and stuff out there first, but did I put anything in the living room? No, I didn't. I meant to put a cat tree in the living room, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I did it. Oh well, the cats have plenty of like space to like explore and look around and be part of nature. But yeah, I meant to put another cat tree in the living room, and then I forgot. So that's, bouncing back and forth, it gives me ideas. Oh, I missed this. Oh, I'd like to add that. Oh, I forgot we had that in the catalog. Let's put this somewhere. You know what I mean? I did go out of my comfort zone on this one a little bit more and added things in spaces I wouldn't have normally done, like the plushie on the chair and the grass under the TV and stuff like that. I don't like doing that because it does tend to cause problems, but occasionally I will add a little bit here and there like that. And that, by the way, what I was just doing there, that was where I realized that closet space that I had built upstairs was partially under the skylight. And so I ended up reducing it and then thinking, you know what, we'll just get rid of it altogether. The bedroom is plenty big enough to add an armoire in there. We don't need that extra little bump out right there. It just felt weird by the steps like that, having it go halfway across the steps like that. I guess to me, if I'm gonna have the area of the steps open like that, I want the whole space to be open, like with the railing, I mean, and not have a wall cut it off halfway across, because in real life that would look funny as you're coming up the steps. It would just look awkward and weird. So I don't know. Maybe I think too deeply into these things, but I just ended up getting rid of it. And you know what? It's fine because it turns out really nice in the end. We have the space for a desk and computer area, and the bedroom is plenty big enough for a big armoire and lots of other plants and things. I did add more plants to the parents' room than some of the other spaces. Just because, one, I don't think there should be a lot of plants in kids' rooms. It's not very realistic. I say that a lot, I know, I'm sorry, but it's really not very realistic to have a ton of plants in kids' rooms. Maybe one plant here or two plants there, but not like an overabundance like the living room is. And so to make up for that, I did add that entire plant wall and then a bunch of other stuff to the parents' room. I just really tried to make it a clean, uncluttered house, but like with a lot of plant life. I'm almost certain that even if they did go back and update expansion pack plants, that those wall plants are not going to become living plants. Number one, they're not even in the plant section. They're in the wall decoration section, so they're basically fake plants anyways. I have the feeling that if they do go back and update other expansion pack plants or other kit packs or other stuff pack, plants. That's what I'm trying to say, not packs. If they go back and update the plants from other packs, that's what I'm trying to say. The ones that get updated will be in plant sections. So either in the buy catalog under decorations plants, or in the build catalog under landscaping stuff like trees and whatnot. But I have the feeling that they're not going to turn those landscaping items into living plants unless they do it specifically for shrubs and flowers. I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out. With the early access stuff and whatnot, but I have the feeling that anything under the landscaping menu is not going to be made into living plants. That the only thing that has a chance of turning into living plants is this category right here of plants. And even at that, it's not going to be all of them. Does that make sense? I think the bigger focus will be new pots to put some of the new plants, but also some of the old growable plants. So anything that's harvestable, growable, or sellable will all have smaller pots that you can bring indoors. Does that make sense? And then there will be a few of the other plants that will become living plants, if that makes sense. Yeah, that probably didn't make a ton of sense, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say anyways. And yeah, now that I'm watching this speed build back, I added a lot more gardens and green area than even I thought I did. So I think I fulfilled the sort of organic, modern / solar punk requirements fairly well. I will be honest in saying that I don't love the front side of this house as much as I love the back side of this house. I didn't really care what the front side looked like as much because, number one, the bedrooms take up most of that, and the front door, that kind of stuff, and the real focus was on the back side of the house with the wall, like the whole expanse of wall of windows that just, and the curved area obviously, that just make you feel part of nature while you're inside enjoying the comforts of home. By the time I got to this room, I started to panic a little bit because I was running out of plants to use. I was running out of ideas. I was running out of space for the things that I did have ideas for and wanted to place, but there were no, like, easy places to put some of that stuff. This is where planning comes in handy, honestly. But I just didn't plan ahead, even as I was doing things, even as I was adding kids' stuff to the living room downstairs. I did not think ahead and go, okay, I need a place for a toy box upstairs. Also, you might find this weird about me, but I don't like putting desks in children's rooms or TVs or toys or anything like that, because to me, bedrooms are for sleeping in, getting a little bit of like private time if you just need to get away from everybody for a little bit and you need some privacy for a while. I just feel like, or I guess reading is another one if you want a quiet space to read and like other people are watching TV or whatever. I don't know. I just feel like, especially in The Sims, there's so very little time in the day to do everything, and having the Sims congregate in communal areas more rather than separating off into their own little spaces makes it so much easier, obviously, especially for socialization. And getting those kind of needs up and whatnot, and fun needs and stuff up, that to me, bedrooms are just for sleeping in, and not much else. And I like having toys and desks and bookshelves and all that kind of stuff more in communal areas where they can be together and do that stuff together, and not be like off in the back of the house somewhere alone. Does that make sense? I know that might seem weird to some people, but especially when you're trying, like, this would be a really big family in a fairly big house for me, and I would feel stressed trying to keep everybody going and doing their own things if I have to keep bouncing all around the house. Like, okay, this kid is upstairs in the back corner doing their homework at the desk, and this kid is outside on the play equipment in the backyard, and this parent is all the way over there in the kitchen. If they can congregate together more, it's easier for me to take care of all of them, is mainly what my thought process is on that. If you have watched this entire speed build to this point and have not skipped anything at all, I commend you. You are fabulous. I don't know how you can do it. My mind is like 20 steps ahead all the time, and I just cannot focus for more than a few minutes at a time, which is why there are so many little hesitations in my videos all the time, because I'm constantly getting distracted, and especially in my speed builds, because I'm constantly getting distracted by YouTube videos or my dogs, or just, oh, I forgot to put the laundry in the dryer, I better go do that really quick. Like, a million things to do, and my mind cannot focus on any one thing to get it done in a timely manner. It kind of actually sucks. I probably have ADHD, but I also might not. It might just be the product of a very tired, overwhelmed brain, too. Who knows? But technically, I was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid, so I mean, it could still be a problem. Especially since when I was 19, I stopped taking my medication, and they just won't put me back on it now, ever. I've asked a few different times, and they're like, nah, you're good. You don't really need it. So, Those medications have a lot of nasty side effects, though, so I understand. Yeah. Other than that, about the house, I have nothing else to say. I think I pretty much described everything in the building process and what I was thinking and everything. We just gotta finish up the 2 kids' bedrooms here and then do some landscaping. The landscaping was the most painful part, but like I said, I like the backyard. The backyard turned out really, really nice. It's the front yard that I'm not as in love with, but also I don't care as much either because the front yard is just a means to getting to the rest of the stuff, you know what I mean? And any windows that are facing the front yard, you can see, like in this case, this house is in Copperdale right now. That's where I built it, near that like river thing with the lake at the end of it. And then the boardwalk with the Ferris wheel and everything is back there. I just thought that that was a really, really pretty view with the lake and the river and the Ferris wheel, and I don't know, it's just very, I don't know. I don't know what words to use for it, but I just liked that view there. So that was my main focus. Get everybody to the backyard because that's where we really want to be. We want to look out the backyard windows. We want to hang out in the backyard where this beautiful view is. The front has a nice foresty area as well. It just doesn't have as much stuff going on, and I don't care as much about it. Also, I did forget a mailbox and a trash can again, something I do with relative frequency, so you'll have to place those yourself because I already uploaded this to the gallery, unfortunately, and yeah. I'm very sorry about that. I might actually put this in the save file. I don't know yet. I have a couple other ideas for a couple other solar punk type houses or modern organic or whatever. And so I might try a couple of those out first and then I'll decide if I want to put one of them in the save file or not. Also, I was hoping by placing the flooring down that it would not let me terrain paint underneath of it. I swear that was an option at one point. But again, I could be thinking of The Sims 3, which is really weird because I did not play The Sims 3 nearly as much as I've played The Sims 4. And still, my brain, even after all these years, continues to default back to some of the options we had in The Sims 3 that have never been available in The Sims 4, and yet my brain keeps telling me that they were there at one time. I swear they were, but they really weren't. So yeah, we're just gonna do the garden now. I didn't do a ton of landscaping. I guess by this point I kind of had the idea where let's make it feel more like a tree house. So the inspiration for the landscaping back here was more like make it amongst the trees. Make it, especially when you're on that upper balcony out there, make it look like you're really truly in the trees without actually being in the trees. So that was kind of the inspiration for the backyard. I do eventually go back and delete these flowers. It was a little too flowery for the style that I was going for, which, like I said, was very woodsy, not very flowery or meadowy or whatever. It was very forest inspired by the time I got to this point. They do have a second gardening spot out there. I did not include animals with this one. These are, again, not farmer Sims. Think more in terms of, like, urban farming. The plants and stuff are there to complement. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say, right? Like, it's not meant to be a farm with animals and all that kind of stuff. Like, they like the conveniences of modern home living, but they also want to be good to the environment and have plants and grow things, especially pretty things like flowers and whatever. That's kind of the idea of it. But not like a fluffy flowery garden. I don't know. I don't know. You'll see it when it's done and you'll get the idea of what I was going for. Also, you can replace those shrubs with real plants once the expansion pack comes out if you don't like those shrubs there. They're just placeholders. I don't want them there, is what I'm saying. I want real planted living plants there, but so that we don't have a ton of empty planters literally everywhere, I put the fake shrubs in there so that it looked nicer for the purposes of this video. But the idea is to actually take those out and put the new planters from the expansion pack in there and plant actual plants in there. This part I struggled with because I wanted something out here. I didn't want it to just be completely empty, but I always want to like flank the windows with those tall shrubs, and it just looks weird to me. It does not look good. It does not look the way it would look in real life, and so I always end up taking them down. I think I need to watch a few Sims landscaping videos to see how other people do it and make it look good. But I can never make that look good. So I end up just going with the flatter but fluffy, still fluffy in this case, garden around that area. It does take me a minute, but it does eventually come together and take shape and look a lot nicer. It's one of those trust the process things where I had to go through a few different ways of doing things before I settled on how it would look the best, you know what I mean? And I specifically chose it to be right there because it wasn't right at the front door where I want more planters for more living plants. Again, I just put the shrubs there so it wasn't just a bunch of empty planters in front of the house. But I also wanted something more outside of that guest bedroom so that your guests had something nice to look at. I wonder, I've never actually played. Has anyone actually played with The Sims using these glass walls? How do they react to them? I don't know. That's interesting. I wonder if they think the room is poorly decorated because you have just glass walls everywhere, but not a lot of stuff hanging on the walls like artwork and stuff. I don't know. It's fascinating to think about, though. I'll have to play again sometime soon, but there we have it. There's the speed build part, pretty much done finally, and we can get into the walkthrough where you'll really see this house shine. And then here's just a look at what the front of the house looks like, sort of from a Sims perspective in a way. You've got the planters with hopefully living plants when the expansion pack comes out there, and then the other garden areas. But the inside is where things really shine. You've got a big, beautiful kitchen and dining space, cat and dog stuff here, lots of plants everywhere. You've got a guest bedroom here that looks out over the forest, and then you've got that fluffy garden right there. That's why I wanted that garden specifically right there. And then you have the closet for the cat litter box and coats right there. So there's that. And if we go back out through the kitchen, I love this kitchen so much. We've got the hallway that I talked about. We've got some vertical planters there. But then we've got the hallway of glass, and I decided to put books along the other side here. We've got a small bathroom here. I didn't include the bathrooms in the speed build because they're boring and the speed build portion was already taking too long. But here is that living room, plants everywhere, but also kid stuff and, you know, family stuff and skill building stuff and a great hangout area where you're just part of the outside but inside. Could you imagine watching thunderstorms or something from this? Look at that lake back there and all the trees and everything. I would love a living room like that. That would be so fabulous. And then we head out to the backyard. We've got a nice little sitting area here with a like little fire pit type of thing. We've got the children's play area and then an outdoor dining spot here as well. And then around the corner here is the first garden, like full actual garden with garden plots there. And then if we go back down the length of the house, I just love that hallway so much. I love the kitchen, but the hallway that just goes down the entire length of the house, is probably my favorite feature of this house. Just a whole wall of windows. We can go back upstairs now and we can see the office. More area for living plants when those come from the expansion pack. We've got this gorgeous balcony out here, a place to relax with friends and have drinks, more living plants area. I wanted to make sure there were lots of places to plant stuff, and the view is absolutely gorgeous. And then if we go over to the end here and climb up the ladder, this is where we have the second full like garden plot area. So there's plenty of spaces to plant some of the new plants plus all of the old ones from all of the other packs. Again, I am just mesmerized by that view, and that's why I wanted the bedrooms around the front and outside edge, so we had that view. You've got that skylight. Then you've got the parents' room here. Lots of plants in here, lots of greenery and stuff. That's kind of the main focus. Couple of placeholders for family photos. You can also put family photos on that table out there by the game table, and that's just the upstairs bathroom again. Lots of good views from that bathroom too. Here's the child's bedroom. I figured they'll probably want to join the Scouts. You know, they're a very plant, nature loving family. So, and then here's the nursery, a very calming, soothing, nature-y inspired nursery. And yeah, that's the house. I love these two back walls with big windows everywhere. I love this so much. If you love this as much as I do, if you enjoyed this video, if you're enjoying my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.